Hello everybody, we are here with a new segment on the channel. You can tell because I'm wearing something different. I've committed to the cardigan look, which is going to be fun when the Japanese summer hits. But anyway, this is a new segment which I have created because I think I would like to help people get more out of reading. I'm an English teacher, so that's kind of my whole purpose for work, right? Is to teach people how to get the most out of their books and how to get the most out of reading. So I thought it would be good to create a segment where I can help you. Now, there was a question that I had in my head when I started this, and which honestly I have every time I have an English class and think about being an English teacher, which is, why is it that so many people seemed to not like English class? It's kind of a thing. You hear people say, oh, I didn't like English class, or English class made me hate reading, or stuff like that. I've seen that around. And I've come up with a few theories. The first, of course, is bad teacher, right? A bad teacher can ruin any subject for you. It doesn't really matter what the subject is. If the teacher is not going to work with you, not going to try to help you out, not going to try to put your needs ahead of their needs, then sure, you're going to have an awful time in that class and you're not going to get anything from it. That doesn't mean there wasn't stuff to get. And maybe you realize at some point as you've grown older, as you've gotten past, high school, for example, that maybe if you had a better teacher, you would have learned more and you would have gotten more out of reading that you could then take into your adulthood. Well, maybe I kind of hope maybe I can be that better teacher. I don't know. I do still occasionally have a fear that all my students are going to one day wake up and realize that I'm a complete fraud. But that's me. That's a me problem. That's not a you problem. I haven't been fired yet, so I'm assuming I'm doing all right. Another reason why some people maybe don't like English class very much is they're worried about subjectivity, right? Some people really want a concrete answer to things. They like to be able to say with some sort of confidence that this is the answer. And the thing with talking about literature is that really there is no answer that we're looking for. What we're looking for is an argument. What we're looking for is for you to say, here's what I think the author is doing, and then to kind of back it up with your evidence from the book. And unfortunately, that's different from finding an answer in like science or mathematics, right? Science or mathematics, you can show numbers and graphs and charts, and you can show these numbers and graphs and charts show that I am correct. Whereas when you are analyzing literature, when you're talking books, it's a harder, honestly, argument to make. You're trying to convince people of these things, but you don't have the luxury of sort of immutable physical facts to do it. I like to joke with my students sometimes that their English class is actually the hardest of their exams that they're going to take. Science and math, they're adorable and they're lovely. And I'm sure they're difficult, sure. But I like to joke that English is actually the hardest because you have to take a position and defend it. And the thing is, when you are talking about English, when you're talking about a book, it is very possible for people to disagree with you and to also make a valid point and make a good argument. And you could be talking about the same book and have two kind of different readings of it, and they can both be valid readings. And not everybody is really comfortable with that, but I want to tell you, that's okay. You are the reader. You are creating meaning from this book. And as long as you can back up your reading with what's in the actual text, it is a valid analysis. It's a valid reading. And so that is something that I think is a lot of fun to learn. It gives you a lot of freedom, right? It liberates you in a sense. And sometimes, of course, people are worried about being judged. I know I have that feeling a lot, is because I have offered my opinion on books and music and movies, and then I've had people say, "Oh God, that's awful. You're totally wrong about that," or "That's a stupid opinion." There's not a whole lot you can do about that. But I think maybe that is another reason why people were worried about their English class, especially in high school where people get real judgy real fast. So you don't have to, the beautiful thing is you don't have to publicize your thoughts to everybody at all if you want to. Some of the skills and techniques and topics we're going to talk about in this series are things that are just for you. They're tools for you as you read to try and get the most out of the books that you're reading and try to understand them better. So why learn this stuff? Why go back to English class and learn the things that maybe you didn't pick up last time because you were angry or bored or scared? Well, for one, it really enriches the experience of reading because you are doing more than simply understanding the plot and the story. You're doing more than saying, oh, I like this character and I like that character. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you want to enjoy the plot and the characters, that's great. That's the basis of why we read, basically. But I think you can get more from a book if you know how to ask the right questions, if you know what you're looking for, if you know how to find out why you like the plot, why you like the characters. I think it can really enrich your overall experience. Another reason to better understand why you want to better understand literature is because it will give you some insight into how literature becomes, how it is made, right? We love to talk about how movies are made. There's tons of YouTube channels about that, where you've got all the behind the scenes, you learn about how scripts are written, how special effects are done, and people are really excited about that. And the more you know about how a movie is made, the more intelligently you can talk about movies. The same thing with like cooking, right? If you know more about cooking and how cooking is done, you can talk more intelligently about food and how food is prepared and how food is made. Or cars. If you learn all about cars and how cars work, what a carburetor does and what an engine does, I don't know a lot about cars, and stuff, you can talk more intelligently about cars. But people seem to be kind of nervous about doing the same thing for books, for literature. Being able to talk intelligently about how literature is made will help you talk better about it. You can feel more confident in expressing your opinions and more confident in expressing your views about what the books are about and what the author is trying to tell us. So that is my goal for this series, is to give you some of the tools that you will need so that you can talk about books in a way that allows you to be confident about what you think, to develop your own opinions about the book, and to talk about what the author is doing and what you think the author is trying to achieve. Because ultimately, that's what you want to do, right? So that's my first tip for you. When you talk about a book, don't talk about the story. Remember that the characters in the story aren't real. So you don't want to say, oh, such and such character wants this, because it can't want that. That character doesn't exist. It doesn't have wants and needs. Talk about the author and what the author is trying to accomplish. If you take it from that direction, you are already several steps ahead, and you're already several steps towards being able to talk about literature in an intelligent and engaging and interesting way. So I hope you'll come along with me. I'm thinking of doing these maybe once a month or so. We'll see how that goes. I don't have a title for this segment just yet as of recording. The one I really want is the LabLib Lit Lab, which is eminently searchable, but no one's ever going to search for it. So I need to come up with something better. But I hope you'll come along with me. I hope that you will learn something new. We're going to talk about things like characterization and narrative point of view and themes and symbols and motifs and all that good stuff, setting, everything we can think of. So I hope you come along, I hope you stick with me, and I hope you learn something. If you have any requests or anything you've always wanted to know, please put it in the comments, and I'll put it in the video. So thanks very much, and I will see you for the first lesson. All right, looking forward to it.